Warning: this creepypasta is made up and not real. It also contains content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. If you get scared easily, do not watch this creepypasta. Viewer discretion is advised.
The Nintendo 64 was my childhood. My sister and I played it growing up. However, I wasn't a Mario fan until 2011, so I grew up with non-Mario games. There's one story about the Nintendo 64 game I feel brave enough to tell you. It was October 13th, 2020, a month after Super Mario Bros. 35th anniversary. I was minding my own business, playing Jet Force Gemini on the Project 64 emulator. And after 2 hours of playtime, I decided to take a break. I had a sandwich and I went back to my room. At 1:20 p.m., my mum said that we will be going to a friend's house. I agreed to come. As we got here, I was looking for something to do. My mum's friends told me that there are game consoles such as a Nintendo 64, Nintendo GameCube, and the first 2 PlayStation consoles and first 2 Xbox consoles. I looked through some games to play, and I found various Mario games and Jet Force Gemini. I chose Jet Force Gemini and inserted in the Nintendo 64. Before I played the game, my mum and her friend told me that they will be going out, and they said I should stay. When I opened up the game, it had a saved file labeled as guest. I thought to myself that it was nice of them to make a saved file for anyone who comes over. In fact, it was a 100% completed file. I played as Juno, the video game's main protagonist. I started at the level Escalating, but I decided to change to my favorite level, SS Anubis. I started to play all 3 of the levels, Hold, Depository, and Passageway. I started with Depository. I started eliminating the enemies in the level with the Tri-Rocket Launcher, one of my favorite weapons, in which I had too much fun. At one of the areas, I heard a very familiar audio clip. Bingo! Ho 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 ho! I was confused, but it sounded like Luigi, one of the Mario characters. I went to follow where Luigi's voice was coming from. That's delicious! I then reached an area where there were many boxes topped on each other, and I found Luigi. However, Luigi didn't look like himself. Instead, he looked like his design, but his eyes were hollow black, and he had red pupils. He was also doing some sort of delicate dance. The hell? I said. I got a bit confused. I then tried walking up to Luigi, thinking I should talk with him. As soon as I touched him, he disappeared. What just happened? Why did he disappear? How is Luigi even in this game? I shrugged that off, and I decided to play the passageway. The passageway was normal, but the hold level, on the other hand, wasn't. I passed the platform chasm by using the floating platform and eliminated the enemies on that side. After the Life Force door was open, I heard another Luigi voice clip. Here we go! I looked around the level until I looked behind myself, and I saw what happened to be Luigi. Again. He had that same horror appearance from earlier. He then jumped right next to me, and he pulled a threatening pose as if he were about to punch Juno, the character I was playing as. As soon as his fist flew into Juno's face, Luigi suddenly vanished. This confused me again. Why did he vanish if he was about to hurt me? However, I finished up the SS Anubis and went back to Myzar's palace. I decided to goof around in the lobby, Juno's road to the courtyard. I went into one of the rooms and encountered 4 coward drones, cockroaches, and some tribals. I killed the coward drones and cockroaches, and I rescued the tribals, and I was about to exit the room, but I heard quiet crying. I turned around and I saw Luigi again. Why does Luigi keep appearing in this game? Who is responsible for personalizing this game? Luigi was crouching and he was sobbing softly. Juno, the character I was playing as, walked towards him. However, the sobbing was getting louder every time I get closer to him. The sobbing sounded like Luigi's voice, but meant to sound like actual crying. Juno walked closer to him, but the sobbing turned down. He sobbed softly again. As soon as I got the closest to Luigi, he suddenly flew towards me with a scare cord, and the game cut to black. I somehow ended up at the door of the lobby outside of the courtyard. I saw something green and purple in the sky, next to 3 pillars. I ran to the pyramid and I ended up at Juno's door of the pyramid. I went into second person view and I found, once again, Luigi. This time he looked normal and he had wings on his hat. He was flying in the sky. He was calling out things like, "Yahoo! Ho 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 ho!" I got to my most confused point. Why is Luigi in this game? He belongs to just Nintendo, not Rare. Luigi then flew far away, but he then flew towards me, and the game then faded out. Like how there is a fade effect before a cutscene plays or when you enter a new area. It showed a cutscene. Juno was lying on his back. He was in a familiar room. It was the unused boss room for the segment, according to one of the game's files. He regained consciousness, and he saw Luigi from a distance. Luigi was at his most messed up state. He was giant, the L on his hat was replaced by 3 sixes, and he had a pentagram drawn on his stomach, and he retained these evil eyes again. "Holy shit," I said quietly. Juno then drawed his machine gun at him, ready to fight Luigi. Luigi then let out a demonic chuckle, accepting the challenge. It was now a boss battle. Luigi had a couple of different attacks. He shot blue lightning out of his hands, in which I had to shoot his hands to stop this attack with homing missiles. He also had the ability to shoot a pentagram through his stomach with said symbol on his overalls. I had to use my tri-rocket launcher to fire at him, and he had the ability to shoot fire out of his eyes. I had to jump over the fire and use my tri-rockets to destroy his eyes. As soon as I shot his last eye, the tri-rockets then bounced back towards Juno, knocking both him and Luigi out cold. At that moment, Juno exploded in a bloody mess. The blood looked realistic, and his head and limbs landed everywhere. I was shocked and frightened at the same time. I threw up in the bathroom. I even vomited through my nostrils. I went back to play the game. However, I saw what appeared to be the most frightening image in this game. It showed demonic Luigi giving a thumbs up in Escalating. The music in the background was what sounded like the Super Mario Bros. Theme song, but in the filter of another planet, Torfrid. Above him was a text that said, "Never go near someone with demonic side effects, otherwise there will be serious consequences. Nintendo will not be responsible for any satanic issues." I felt uneasy with what I was looking at right now, so I went to turn off the game at the control deck, but I decided to show my mum and her friend evidence by taking a photo of the screen. When my mum and her friend came back, I showed her the photo. However, she didn't believe me, saying that it was photoshopped. I was disappointed she didn't believe me. I then posted the photo on the Nintendo Facebook group, and they were stunned. One of the members phoned Nintendo and Rare about the cursed copy, and they said that a sacked co-worker brought his own copy home and edited it to make it look like a horror game. The game editor was sacked when Nintendo found out what he had done. I haven't played a single Nintendo 64 game on the regular console or the Project 64 emulator. I haven't touched another video game in my life ever again. I can't believe this has happened to me. Maybe it's best if I stay away from games.